Yeah. Welcome everybody to our Thursday night class. Tonight we're discussing what's behind the sacrifice. And I'm going to mute everybody, and you could certainly unmute when it comes time to ask a question or the like, and we do have source sheets available that I'm going to show you soon on my share factor. Want to say Yasher Koach to Torah Anytime for providing our video service this evening and for spreading Torah around the world. The Parsha this week, Parshas Naso, is literally jam-packed with fascinating mitzvos and details. And the Parsha begins with the expression of responsibility of what the Levites have to do and what they carry when they were going through the desert. And then we learn about the sanctity of the Levites and the way that the camp was formatted. We'll learn about two very interesting passages in the Parsha that have to do with Sota and Nazir. Sota is when a marriage goes wayward, literally a woman that strays, and Nazir is a Nazirite. And both have to do with keeping a sense of holiness. Holiness in relationships and holiness within ourselves. And then we have the Birkat Kohanim, the blessing of the priests that parents also give to their children on Friday nights. And I'll tell you that tomorrow, Emir Tzah Hashem, the local police chief, has asked me to come speak to the entire police force for a few minutes before they engage in trying to keep a rally peaceful. And I intend on sharing the priestly blessing with them from our Parsha. And then we come to the point in the Parsha that we're going to speak about this evening. And that is the offerings, the consecration offerings of the tabernacle. The tabernacle was the portable Mount Sinai, and the Jewish people brought offerings there, and they took it on the road. They took the Sinaitic experience on the road, but it took a year to build. It took almost a year to build, and it finally was concluded on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. This is also the passage in the Torah that we read for Hanukkah, because this was the Chanukas HaMizbeach. It was the dedication, consecration of the new altar of the tabernacle, and therefore it reflects a later consecration of when the temple was rededicated in the time of Hanukkah. And there's also a custom in certain communities to read this in the beginning of Nisan. Every day, a different one of these passages. And once you see it, I'm going to show it to you in a moment. You'll be able to see it. It's probably the most repetitious passage in the entire Torah. The Torah tells over the offerings that the priests, rather than the Nesiim, the chieftains, the heads of the tribes, there was a representative of every tribe, and that representative brought the opening sacrifice on the altar in the tabernacle. And if you could think for a moment what that must have meant, that moment of import, let's also remember that this is taking place after the debacle of the sin of the golden calf. Because while Moshe Rabbeinu was on Har Sinai, we know that the Jews worshipped golden calves. A calf. Unfortunately, there are people in the world that are still worshipping golden calves, all different types. And when Moshe came down, he broke the luchos, went back up again 2 more times, came down, and then they started building the Mishkan. And they built this Mishkan, and it took them all year, and we learned all about it, and now is the consecration ceremony. And the obvious question that many of the commentators ask is, why is it that this passage, starting chapter 7, is repeated over and over and over again? 12 times. You know, I got it the first time, the second time it sounded, by the third time I know it by heart, almost. 12 times? What's the Torah coming to teach us? So I'll tell you, there are 2 ways to understand it, at least. One way to understand it is brought, I believe, in the name of the Ramban, who says that even though every one of us makes the same Kiddush, or every one of us says the same Amidah, and every one of us says the same blessings over the food that we eat, it reflects differently in every single person. What you bring to the table is different than what she brings to the table, is what's different than what he brings to the table. And the Nesiva Shalom goes so far as to say that the first offering was brought by the tribe of kings, of Nachshon ben Aminadav, of the tribe of Judah. So everything about that sacrifice was reflected through the imagery of Malchus, of kingship. And the second has to do with Torah, because it was Nisanel ben Suar from the tribe of Yisachar. And we're going to take a look at that. So the first answer to our question as to why is it that it's...
Rabbi,
Yes.
Rabbi,
Yes.
could you possibly move the microphone up a little bit? We're just about hearing you.
Oh, this microphone is not helpful to you. It's only helpful to the video. The microphone that I'm using is on my computer. So maybe if it's possible for my speakers are at 100, see if you're able to up yours a little bit.
Mine are up to 98.
Okay, so then I'll speak a little louder. Maybe you'll hear me even through the window. So, the first answer again is that indeed each one of the offerings, even though they were identical, nevertheless reflected differently on every single person. Right? Everybody's face is different. Everybody's soul is different. Everybody is able to bring their special countenance and spark. That's answer number 1. Answer number 2 is that even if people do not bring something different to the table, it shows the power of what this offering was. Think about it for a minute. We're going to talk about it was a silver bowl and a basin and a golden spoon with incense. Whatever it was, we're going to talk about it in a minute. It must have been extremely potent. Incredibly potent if this was going to be the first offering that was ever offered on this public altar in the tabernacle. So let's take a look. I'm going to try to share screen. Okay. So there it is. The parsha begins, this passage, Vayihi HaMakriv Bayom HaRishon et Korbano, that on the first day of the month of Nisan, he brought his offering. Nachshon ben Aminadav. Everybody knows that name, Nachshon ben Aminadav, because he was the one that jumped into the Yam Suf first. If you jump into the Yam Suf first, then you're also going to bring the first offering. So what was his offering? I don't know if you could see it or if your faces are in the way. I don't know how to... Maybe I can... His offering was a silver bowl, or the weight of 130 shekels, not modern day shekels, but biblical shekels. A silver basin that was 70 shekels of weight. Both of them were filled with fine flour mingled with oil for a meal offering. Then there was one golden spoon or pan of 10 shekels, and that was filled with incense. One young bullock, a par, one ram of the first year. It says one he lamb, and that was the burnt offering. Then there was a male of goats for a sin offering. And then for the sacrifice of the peace offerings, there were 2 oxen, 5 rams, and 5 he-goats, and 5 he-lambs of the first year. And this was the offering of Nachshon ben Aminadav. So, great! Thank you very much. What the Torah should have done, or could have done, was said, and that was the offering of every single one of the chieftains. But instead, the Torah continues. Oh, Bayom HaSheni, on the second day, Hikriv Naso ben Suar. Comes along Naso ben Suar, who is from the tribe of Yisachar, and you know what he brought? Exactly the same thing. Right? The silver bowl, 130 shekels of weight, and a basin, 70 shekels. And after this time, I'm not going to say it again. Both filled with fine flour and oil. A spoon, golden spoon filled with incense. A burnt offering with a par, a bullock, a ram, and a lamb. A serizim, a goat, for the sin offering. A shlamim, a peace offering. Of 5 goats, 5 lamb. There are 3 different 5s. Bakar Shnaim Elim Chamisha Tudim Chamisha. Rather, 2 calves, 5 rams, and 5 goats. And that's the carbon of the second offering of Naso ben Suar. You get the point. Bayom HaShlishi, on the third day. I'm not going to keep doing this. Okay? What is this meant to be? What is behind the sacrifice? Are you ready? If you want to write anything down, let's take a look at what Rashi brings by the second offering. Now we're going to see the symbolism of this offering. It's unbelievable. Basically, God encapsulates the entire history of the world in these offerings. Watch. And notice, it's only brought the commentary in the second day's offering, not the first. So even though Rashi normally only deals with pshat, he deals with the simple meaning, here Rashi quotes a darshan. Is it a Moshe darshan? We'll see in a minute. And he quotes something called gematria. Gematria means numerical equivalent. So if you take the word for the silver bowl, which in Hebrew is ka'arat kesef, the letters add up to, you guessed it, 930. Right? And what did we say a minute ago? I'm sorry, 130. What did we say a minute ago? Hold on. Ka'arat kesef is the numerical equivalent of 930. Who cares? Because 930 is how long original man lived. And therefore, that's why it was a ka'arat kesef. That's a symbolism. Why was the 130 talents of silver the weight? Because Adam was 130 years old when he had his son Seth, Shais, and started to bring forward the future of civilization. Okay, so we've got Adam here. Then we have Mizrak Echad Kesef. Not only did we have the silver bowl, but we had the silver basin. Mizrak Echad Kesef, it even has it here for us. If you break it up in the numbers, you get to 520. You know what 520 is? Noah was 500 years old when he had his children, and 20 years before that, he was told, you better start building an ark. So not only do we have Adam in this offering, we now have Noach in this offering. What happened from Noach? From Noach came, how many silver talents was that? 70? The 70 nations of the world. Because from Noah came all of civilization. Okay, now we have, what's with that golden spoon weighing 10 shekels? So, kaf achad also means, so to speak, one hand, one distribution. Keneged Torah shenitna miyado. Why is it a kaf achad? Because it's Hashem gave us from Himself the Torah. And we know that we're taught that Adam had 6 commandments and Noah had a 7th. That's 7 commandments, and those are the 7 Noachide laws. And that's really when the beginning of the ethical code of God came to the world. Why 10? Because it would be 10 gold pieces, the weight, because of the 10 commandments. Why was it filled with incense? Because the numerology of the word incense corresponds to 613, which is the mitzvahs in the Torah. So in this sacrifice, you have everything. Then we get the par, the bullock. Why a par? Because Abraham brought a par. A par is a bullock, a cow. Why did he bring it? He brought it to serve the angels, etc. Why a ram? Ayil echad, that's for Isaac, because Isaac was offered on the altar instead of the ram. Why the keves? Why the lamb? Because Jacob was the shepherd who switched around all the different lambs. Why the goat? Because Joseph's coat was dipped into a goat's blood. Do you see how you have all of world history right here in this sacrifice? And then you have Zevach HaShlamim. You have who brought peace to the world between God and the Jewish people? Moshe and Aaron, right? Moshe and Aaron. So the Bakar Shnayim, Chamisha Tudim v'Chamisha Kvasim b'nei Shana, What's that? So the Bakar Shnayim represent the two oxen, represent Moses and Aaron, who brought peace to the world when they brought the Torah and the tabernacle and the offerings. And then there's rams, goats, and lambs. 3 different types for the for this offering. Why? Because we have Kohanim, Leviim, and Yisraelim. We have Torah, Nevi'im, and Ksuvim. And why 5 each? We have 5 dibros on each one of the 10 commandments. The 2 tablets had 5 each on each one. And this is all from Rav Moshe Hadarshan. Rav Moshe Hadarshan taught us what was behind this unbelievable sacrifice, the first sacrifice. And it was so powerful that it included references to Adam, Noach, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, Moshe, Aaron, Kohen, Levi, Yisrael, the Torah, the mitzvos, and the Aseres HaDibros. How's that for an offering? Now you might think it's unbelievable. You might think it's unbelievable, and it is. But I want to stop for a minute, and I want to say, if I can get everybody back, how can resize window display? Oh, maybe I have to do, I don't know. There must be a better way. How do I bring you back? Oh, stop share. There you go. Hi, Michael and Dawn. The reason why this is so fascinating, that this first offering includes all of world history up until that point, is because every time any of us makes an offering to each other, or an offering to God, an offering with our prayers, an offering, we're bringing our whole world as well. We bring everything with us. Okay? Our entire history, everything comes together. Right? Your prayer is the sum total of everything that is from your entire history. Okay? It doesn't go away. So now, what I wanted to discuss is to get into some of these questions of who were these chieftains? Who were these heads of tribes, and why is it that they were the ones that were offered to bring the offerings? And why is it that only during the second offering, Nisan ben Suar, does the commentary bring that incredible symbolism? Why isn't it brought in the beginning, the first one? So I'm going to go back and I'm going to share again, and we'll learn a little bit more, and then we'll come back for discussion and questions. So, the princes. How did the princes merit to be these princes? Amazing thing. Rashi says, Heim Nisiyei Amatos, Shahayu Shotrim Aleim B'Mitzrayim. They were the Jewish police officers in Egypt. That just like in Germany, Yamach Shemam, when the Nazis made Jewish policemen to police over their own, that's not a new idea. That comes from the times of Egypt, where also in Egypt they put Jews on top of other Jews. But these policemen, Hayumukim Aleihim, they were willing to take the brunt of the suffering and the brunt of the responsibility instead of beating it down on their brothers. Shenemar vayuku shotre b'nei Yisrael, as it says that the officers of Israel were beaten, and therefore, if you take one for the Jewish people, God repays you, and you took for them, now you're going to represent them. You represented them when it was hard, you're going to represent them when it's great. Right? God has a better memory than everybody. My Rebbe likes to say, and I'm already a grandfather, he says, you better be careful what you say to your parents when you're a child, because God remembers, and whatever you said is going to come out of your children's mouths and or your grandchildren's mouths as well. Right? Because God has a memory, and it comes out all the time. So here's another fascinating point, and that is, why were these heads of the tribes filled with such alacrity? They brought their offering, it says in chapter 7, verse 3, Yaviu es karbanam lifnei Hashem sheshaglos tzav. They came up with this on their own. They made beautifully covered wagons, right? Two tribes for each wagon, 12 oxen representing each one of the tribes, a cart before every two, an ox before every one, and that's how they brought all the materials. Otherwise, how would they have gotten all? And nobody told them to do this. They came up with it by themselves. So, how'd they come up with it? Rashi says, Yakrivu osam lifnei ha-mishkan, shelo kibel Moshe mi'adam. Right? They brought it to the Mishkan. Moshe didn't receive it from them. That God told him to do it. Amar Rabbi Naso Maro Anisiim Lisnadev Bain Tchila. Why is it that they came with such alacrity? What was it? Umaleches Mishkan Lo Hisnadvu Tchila. And when it came to building the tabernacle months previous, 6 months earlier, they were not filled with alacrity. In fact, they came, as it says in the Parsha, it says that they said, let's see what everybody else brings. What everybody else brings is great, and we'll bring what everybody else doesn't bring. Well, guess what? Everybody brought everything. There was nothing left to bring. Since there was nothing left to bring, the only thing they could bring was like the onyx stones. When they saw that they brought everything already, what could we do? We blew it. They brought the onyx stones. Ephod, and the special buttons, the special beautiful buttons that were used in the ephod, the apron of the high priest, lechoshen, and for the breastplate. Well, the Gemara says in Psachim, Ein Adam Lomed Ela Ma Shenitkol Bo, which means that a person only learns from what they trip over. Right? Hopefully. If you trip over it, you don't do it again. So they tripped over it at the beginning of the Mishkan. This time they were not going to trip over it again and not make the same mistake. Because you don't always get second chances. You don't always get second chances. Here they did. Now, there's a lot of questions on why Nisanel is the first one after Nachshon. After the tribe of Judah came the tribe of Yisachar. So why? In fact, we're told that really Reuven would have liked to have gone second. Here it says, Hakrev et Karbano v'karas kesef achas. It's even written in a different way. Look at the Hebrew. The Hebrew says, Hakrev, as a command. Bring that offering, that silver bowl and silver basin. Bring that offering. The translation is wrong. Hakrev, or does it say Hikrev? Yeah, it's not wrong. Hikrev, he brought it, but it's written as Hakrev, as a command, like he didn't want to do it. Why? So here's the Rashi. Hakrev et Karbano, Ma Talmud Lomar Hikrev. B'shvato shel Yisachar ma shelo nemar b'chol hashvatim. Why is it that there's a special rendition of a different type of writing for Yisachar as opposed to the other tribes? Lefi sheba Ruvain v'irev Amar. Because Ruvain came and he said, hey, Acha shekidamani Yehuda, if my brother Judah, who's younger than me, he goes first because he's the king, Akrivani acharav, I should go second. Right? Like a little sibling rivalry. Amala Moshe mipi agvura. Moshe said, what can I do? God told me that he goes second. She'akriva b'seder amasos l'digleim, which we're going to talk about in a minute. However, you guys go when you were walking, when you were traveling through the desert, that's the order that you're going to be going and bringing the offerings as well. And that's why there's this word hakrev. Ma'o hikrev shnei pamim, shebishvil shnei dvarim zachal lahakrev sheni l'shvatim. Why is it that Yisachar was chosen to be the second tribe? Because they had two milas. They had two unbelievable features. Acha shayu yodim b'Torah. They were unbelievably gifted and knowledgeable in Torah. As it says, Shenemar umibnei Yisachar yodei bina le'itim. That they had great Torah wisdom for the times. And number two is they were the ones, Shenosnu Eitzah, that gave the counsel to the chieftains to bring these offerings and to bring them on the wagons. Okay? So that's why Nisanel ben Suar from Yisachar is the one that goes second. And here the Netziv says very similarly, Hikrivu al Seder HaDegalim, Af al Gav Shadailon Itztavu al Degalim. Even though they weren't yet commanded with their flags and their order until the second month, Mikol Mokom Kvar Yadu, they already knew from the time of Jacob, which I've said to you in the past, that amazingly, that when they took Jacob from Egypt, Yaakov, to his burial place in Ma'aras HaMachpelah, they took him in the same formation as the Jews would walk later through the desert with the tabernacle. So that's the way of our forefathers. What they did, we do. Okay. So here, the Or HaChaim notices, I'm not going to go all the way up, that the way that the Torah references Nisanel ben Suar, Nasi Yisachar, that introduces Netanel, who is the prince of Yisachar, that's different than all the other offerings. All the other offerings, they start by saying, this is the offering of that tribe, this person. In fact, I will go up for a second. Hold on. So on the fourth day, it says, Elitzur, the son of Shteor, prince of the child of Ruvain. And on the third day, it said, rather, on the third day, forgive me, Eliav, the son of Chelon, the prince of Zvulun. So it starts by saying on the third day, and then his name. When it was the second day, right, it doesn't say it the same way. It says, Hikriv Nisanel ben Suar Nasi Yisachar. All it says is that he was Nisanel, the prince of Yisachar, and he did the offering. It doesn't introduce him like it does with the other ones. On the third day, the introducing the prince of Zvulun is Eliav ben Chelon. And that's the normal way. But this, they put him before his tribe. So the Or HaChaim asks, why does the Torah do it differently? And the Or HaChaim answers, I'll tell you why. Hiktim askara shmo lezichron anasias, as opposed to all the other chieftains. This one, the Torah puts his name before his tribe. Lasosval geter amala gambalo chshivas anasias. That he was very, very important even without his appointment of being the prince, the chief of the tribe. Masha'en ken kol sha'ar hanasiyim. All the other chiefs, every other one, the uniform made the person. Here, by Nisanel ben Suar, the person was the person even without the uniform. Okay? And that's why he's different. Zichron hanasiyas l'shmamu b'shmo hiskir zichron ha-Torah. And the reason why is, again, he was of great, great knowledge of Torah, ube'emtsos kinyana. Zichron ha-Torah Nisanel nasan al derech omro lekach tov nasati lachem emtsos kinyana ben Tzoar. He says, Nisanel ben Tzoar was the one who was so filled with Torah, she'ena Torah niknes el al yedei Yisurin. So his name was Nisanel ben Tzoar, and Tzoar is related to the word Yisurin, and Yisurin means affliction, which means, in effect, no pain, no gain. If you don't put effort into it, you're not going to get anything out of it. She'ena Torah niknes al yedei Yisurin. Kachi darka shel Torah. Right? The way of Torah is to not fill oneself with luxury. Adam ki yamus ba'oel. It says that if someone will pass away in a tent, and the drasha there is that to learn Torah, one has to be willing to put themselves aside. That's why his name is first, because it shows who he was. It was because of his great effort and his great knowledge that he became the chieftain of Yisachar. Yodei Bina Le'itim. The final question that I want to deal with, and then we can open it up to questions and comments, is the Chassam Sofer's question, which I was bothered with, I'm happy to say, Baruch Shekivanti, when I was reviewing the Torah yesterday, preparing this class. And the question is that unbelievable sense of symbolism that I shared with you at the beginning of the class, teaching that the 930 is how old Adam lived to, and 130 is when he had his son, and all those beautiful symbolisms of Adam and Noach and Abraham, they only come in the second by Nisanel ben Suar. Why isn't that, if it's in all 12, why isn't it in the beginning? Why does Rashi bring that only in the second one? So the Chassam Sofer says, only in Hebrew here. He says, Yesh l'faresh, the lama mefarish Rashi dafka biyom sheni kol ramazim. Why did Rashi teach us all these unbelievable inferences and hints and incredible symbolisms only in the second of the chieftains? V'kavanos ha'karbanos. V'hinei Rashi yisod d'lachein, I'll tell you why. Because since Yisachar was the man of Torah, he deserves to have Torah taught in his section. Right? Miyad achar shevet Yehuda mipnei shahayu b'nei Torah v'od she'isian eitza u'shnei tamim echad ki haya ben Torah yachol litem lahem eitza. A person who has lots of Torah in them is able to give good counsel. L'chein mefarish Rashi. And therefore, Rashi says, Al Yisachar Shahaya ben Torah. V'yeda litein lahem eitza kazu, and he could give this great piece of counsel to bring the offerings. V'yeshlomar od ulai bali kavana hayanachshon misnadev kach. It's possible to say that Nachshon didn't have these great kavanot. But he didn't have these great intentions. Because just bringing the offering itself is something. Right? Aval kivin shehikriv hasheni gamkein kach. Once the second was bringing, the second offering was exactly the same. Therefore, we see the incredible difference that each one of the Nisiim would bring to the table when they would come and bring their offering. And so what we've seen here this evening is the great symbolism behind the first ever sacrifice that was brought on the altar in the tabernacle and what it represents then and now. We understand that the first was from the tribe of Judah of kings, and the second was the tribe of Yisachar, because he was the one who gave the counsel, because he was the one who was filled with Torah. Why did they go in that order? Because this is the order that they marched, that they learned already from their father Jacob when they were taking him to his burial place. And even though Reuven naturally would have liked to be number 2 because he was genealogically the oldest, nevertheless, the Torah tells us that it was Nisanel ben Tzuar. So, as we read the Parsha this week, and some of us who are able to might even be able to actually hear the Torah reading in a parking lot. If we hear the Torah and we hear the same passage over and over and over again, remember that it has 2 meanings, as we said in the beginning. One meaning is that it must be filled with unbelievable symbolism if this was the recipe that worked for every single one of the tribes. And also understand, like the Ramban, that it reflected differently on every single person. I now come back and I am going to let the video conclude and keep us on for questions.